Hello, my love, and welcome back. I am so excited that you're here, and I just want to welcome you to the new and improved soul-powered channel. I have a lot to share on that, and I have some things to share on that. But ultimately, today's conversation is going to be about what it looks like to rise from the ashes, what it looks like to have life throw shit at you, and you don't know if you're going to overcome it. You don't even know what life is going to look like. You know, those moments where life just rattles you and you don't even think you're going to survive. You don't know if you're going to survive. You don't know if you are capable of doing what it takes to get through the thing. And then you get through the thing. And then you're on the other side and you're like a completely different person. So yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today, because that kind of preludes into where I've been over the last 7 months. I can't believe that I've taken a hiatus. It doesn't feel like 7 months at all, but I have been so excited to be back and chatting it up with you again and sharing with you again and helping you again, because there's just been this pull on my heart, but now is finally the right time to come back and to get back into the swing of things. So I'm really, really excited to be here. And this version of me, I know I have said this before on the podcast, but this version of me is such an elevated version of me that you're going to get. Like the shit that I know now, the things that I understand and have an embodiment around, the wisdom that I have now, the downloads that I get on a daily basis about how all of this shit works, about how life works, about how the nervous system works, about how money works, about how just all of it. I've been deep in the studies of like the quantum world and how to quantum leap and what all of that shit means. So we're going to dive into all of that. Maybe not all of that today, but on our journey together. But really, I want to talk about where it is that I've been, because let's catch up. Hello, my love. Welcome to the Soul Powered channel. This is your one-stop shop for all things soul alignment. We're talking getting out of survival mode, moving into soul power, and releasing what society has told you is the definition of success for what your soul actually desires in this lifetime. I believe that you came to this earth with an alignment assignment, which is something to play out during this lifetime, something that you chose long before you came here to do, some kind of impact that you're here to make on the planet, some way that you are here to contribute, to help raise the collective consciousness of Earth. And that's my desire, is to help you to be able to play out that alignment assignment by gaining the confidence, by releasing the things that are no longer serving you, by remembering who the fuck you actually are at your soul level, and rising into overflow together. Thank you so much for being here today. I seriously cannot wait to dive in. Let's do this. The last episode, I went to go look at the name of the episode, and it was something like my daughter's ER visit, my travel nightmare, or something, and then the human design hotel experience. So if you haven't listened to that one, go check that out, because that was kind of the beginning of a massive dismantling that took place for me. And that's really, I feel like I've been in the cocoon, in that void space of like becoming the new version of myself. And you're definitely going to resonate with this, because years and years ago, I had my shaman that I was working with at the time on the podcast, and her name is Makosi. She goes by the Royal Shaman, and she was talking about this concept of the void. And so if you go back and listen to that one, I'll link these below. But if you go back and listen to that one, you'll see what I'm talking about. We go through these periods of time where it's like a butterfly, or it's like a caterpillar going into the cocoon to become a butterfly. And it doesn't just happen for humans one time, especially if you're deep in this personal growth work. It's like you are going through metamorphosis after metamorphosis on a very consistent basis. I know that's true for me, and I know that's true for a lot of my friends and the people that I know in this industry who've stayed in this work. And there is just like, I just keep meeting new versions of myself. I keep meeting new versions of other people. And it's just one of my favorite things. That doesn't come with all, rainbows and sunshine though. And I think that's really what I want to talk about today, is this idea of it doesn't have to look perfect. You don't have to be perfect through all of this. And you get to go through these periods of expansion without anybody telling you that you're wrong. And I want to almost normalize what those expansion periods do look like, because I was just listening to some of Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, who I've been deep in the study of. I've loved him for years upon years, but I've kind of been reinvigorated with his work. And he was talking about this idea of how when you start to move into your next timeline, when you start to level up, there is a level of disorganization that happens. And there's a reason behind all of that. And if you don't know Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, check him out. I think a really good place to start would be his book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. He also has one called The Placebo Effect. And then he has a series on Gaia, which if you don't have Gaia and you're watching like regular TV, like that's okay. Like I love like a good Netflix show here and there, but like Gaia is for those personal development weirdos like us that just dive into all of this stuff and you want to learn about like the deep work, the deep shit that like the mainstream doesn't talk about. So he has a series on there called Rewired, and it's really, really powerful. It breaks down, he's a neuroscientist who breaks down how we create change in our lives. And he talks about this quantum model, which is really the new way of thinking about things, the new understandings that they have in science and about how we create change in our life. So definitely go check out Dr. Joe Dispenza's work. But my point in bringing this all up is that there is a period of time where you will feel like everything is falling apart when you're becoming someone new. And I want to normalize that, because I think oftentimes when my clients come to me, they talk about this disorientation that's occurring in their lives as though it's something negative. Everything in life is falling apart, and I'm losing this job, and I'm losing my friends, and I'm losing this. And it's like losing, it's viewed as like this negative thing. But I want to talk about what actually is happening and what happened to me over the last 7 months, because you're going to see a different version of me. And I'm always elevating, so I'm just giving myself permission to do that at my own pace, because there's really no right or wrong way to do this, to be a content creator, to be a podcast host. And so I'm just really allowing myself to do the things that I want to do, because I'm never going to force this, because this isn't work that can be forced. And I think that we all need a little bit of that permission to just say, when I'm feeling lit up, when I'm feeling like I really have something to share, like I do right now, then I'm going to dive in and I'm going to share these longer form type episodes. So I'm going to talk about the structure of how the podcast is going to look moving forward. And I'm not going to delete anything from the past. I've elevated a lot, but if you go back and listen to my old episodes, you're going to meet a different version of me there. And that version of me was a lot more masked, like lots of the masks on that I learned from childhood. So you might hear a voice mask. I don't sound the same, because that's not my true and authentic voice. This is really how I speak to everyone. And so you know how we learn the professional voice, and you have to do this, and you have to like all those kinds of things. I didn't know I was doing that back then. That's a protection mechanism that I didn't know that I was using. And it creates a disconnect between me and you. And I understand that now, whereas I didn't understand that before. I have lived a lot of my life trying to be what I thought other people wanted me to be versus just being myself, and then putting my message out there and letting the people who resonate with me come and be in my life. So you can see my podcast setup is a little different here too. I'm just going to be chopping it up with you. I'm on a bench in my office that my husband built these for me. He's so freaking sweet. I have one here and one over there. And I'm just going to be hanging out like we're besties, because we are. And this is how I talk to my best friends. I just came back from a retreat with two of my business besties who are just wonderful humans, Rachel and Sabrina. Shout out to those girls. They're just like amazing. And we went away, and they always like laugh at me because by the end of the night, I'm like sunk down into the couch or like the chair, and I'm just like, we're just vibing. We really spent about an entire week just like coaching each other and having this beautiful like week-long therapy session, because we're all like really good coaches. And so we're just helping each other like have these massive breakthroughs. And it was like this another quantum leap experience. But by the end of the night, I'm like sunk into my chair and just like, I'm just flowing. I'm just channeling. And that's kind of what I wanted to mimic here, but I didn't think it was appropriate to be like laying down and having this chat. So we're going to do it this way. And yeah, we're just going to hang out. Like I'm going to have my water bottle. Look how cute this is. Lana got this for me. Not sponsored at all. It just has sacred geometry on it. She got it for me for Mother's Day. I thought it was so cute. So I'm going to be sipping my water whenever I need to. And this is just going to be a lot more of a relaxed chat. Like chopping it up as two besties, and we're here, and like I just want to share with you the things that I know are going to change your life, because they've changed mine, and then they've changed the lives of my clients, my friends, and anybody in my world. And one thing I've realized is that the amount of work that I do on myself, the amount of self-awareness that I have, the amount of energetic hygiene that I have, is I do carry a high frequency now. Naturally, I carry a high frequency. And so I understand now that I don't need to perform for you. I don't need to do things perfectly. I don't need to get every word right. Is that I just need to offer my frequency to you to see what's available. So you can see what's available for you, and then you can take it and change your life with it. And that's really what I want to do for anybody in my life. My goal has always been, I want people to walk into my world of one version of themselves and then walk out a better version. Not saying that anybody's coming to me, like I'm not, like trying to bring home strays and like, save people and things like that. It's more just, I'm offering a frequency of, do you want to become the best version of yourself? And if you do, then stick around. If you don't, then probably don't stick around, because I'm going to trigger you, and I understand that. And also, like, I realize as a coach, I'm a black mirror. So if you're a coach, if you're a mentor, if you're a content creator, if you're someone who's trying to like improve people's lives in any way, a lot of times people are going to view you as a black mirror, which means that you're either going to inspire them, and so you're a mirror for what they want in life, or you're going to trigger them and you're a mirror for the repressed aspects of themselves that they wish they were able to bring forth, and they're projecting their hatred, anger, or jealousy onto you. And so I recognize I'm a black mirror. I recognize that, and I honor everyone. I know I'm a triggering person for a lot of people, because most people, they don't think the way that I do. They don't show up the way that I do. They don't live the way that I do. And so therefore, I'm going to be triggering people's insecurities. I'm going to be triggering things in their lives. And the way that I see that is good. It's really a good thing, because the good coaches that I've worked with in my life, they've triggered the fuck out of me, because they've called out aspects of me that I wasn't willing to look at myself. And I would have never looked at myself had they not brought it up. And so I'm okay with being a black mirror for you. I'm okay if that's what it's going to take for you to change your life. I don't actually need people in my community to like me in order for me to change their life. I want them to like me, but I don't need them to. I want to have great relationships with the people in my life, but I actually don't need that to change someone's life. And ultimately, the reason that I do everything that I do is so that I can help you to not make the same mistakes that I did, or to recover faster if you have. I want your life to be better as a result of knowing me. That's what this whole podcast is about. So before I get into anything else about where I've been, I want to talk about the name change. So it's a slight change. The podcast used to be called the Soul Powered Podcast, and now it's called the Soul Powered Channel. So you'll see that shift. And the reason for that is the word channel is a double entendre, which obviously this is a channel, a method for you to tune in and, hang out with me, listen to me. It's a channel on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening. But I am also the channel. I am the one who's allowing Source to bring forth whatever it is that you need to hear right now. So I'm fully tapped in and channeling this information. I don't go from a script, especially in a world where there's so much AI and all of that shit. Like, I'm not reading from a script. I'm looking directly at the camera, speaking directly to you. As a matter of fact, I get distracted by things. And so sometimes you'll see me close my eyes, because in the background is the rest of my office. And I don't know if you highly sensitive girlies are like me, but I get distracted by those things. There's pictures of Sedona over here. There's this mind, body, soul thing going on. And I'm just I kind of wish that I had something in front of it. So if you see me getting distracted, that's why. I'll have to consider that for next time. So I'm not going to be reading prompts from a teleprompter. None of this is AI generated. This is 100% me channeling information to you. And the way that the podcast is going to look is a little different too. Some of these conversations are going to be just like this, where we're chopping it up and I'm sharing a long form way of being able to, a longer piece of content with you, where I have updates to share. I want to inspire you with something. I want to give you updates on, a trip that I just went on, or like I was going to do one after I got back from my little mini mind with my girlies in Sedona. I'll share a little bit today. Some things like that, where like when I have these big breakthroughs, I'm going to share it with you so that you can go and apply those in like real time. And then I'll have more standard episodes that are going to drop every week that are 8 to 10 minutes long, just like short, pungent. I don't know if pungent's the right word. Probably not. I think that means like smell, like, I don't know. We're not going to use the word pungent. What's the word? They're going to be short, like to the point, the powerful, not pungent has like a negative connotation. They're going to be powerful episodes. They're going to be like, this is something that you can take and apply right now and you can do it, quickly. And that's intended to really be just because I think that people need a variety. Everybody needs a variety. Like sometimes I just want to learn something really quick but I don't want to scroll a lot. I really am like over it. I don't know if anybody else is, but I'm just completely over like the doom scrolling era. I really don't feel drawn to that anymore. I feel like it does something to me, gives me anxiety. I feel more stressed on the days where I spend any amount of time scrolling at all, even if it's just a couple minutes. So I tend to not really scroll, but then sometimes I don't really want to listen to like an hour and a half long training or episode of something. So that's really why I've designed these shorter episodes for you to just like get a really quick result, learn something really profound, get like a one, quick hit, and then go and apply it and change your life instead of having to listen for, an hour and a half. But we may have some of those as well. I'm also going to be bringing back interviews. And this time I'm not going to be hiding behind those interviews. I'm going to be interviewing some incredible people. I already have a list of people that like want to come back for interviews. So I'm really excited about that. But these are all going to be people who are living a soul-powered life. So the soul-powered channel is really all going to be how I'm going to be sharing with you how to live a life that is guided by your soul. Like, your soul is walking around in this world more often than your ego. And I can tell you that that's really the shift that happened for me. So this is a good segue into where I've been over the last 7 months. And when you allow your soul to make decisions on your behalf and you no longer are being driven from the ego, you're no longer being driven from survival mode or from external validation or from what other people expect from you or the world expects from you, the level of fulfillment is out of this fucking world. And you become, I didn't coin this term, but I've heard it before, unfuckable with. Like, you get to a point in life where nobody can touch you. Nobody can touch you. Nobody can fuck with you. Nobody can hurt you. Nobody can row you up. Like, do you know the level of fucking resilience that takes? But it's so fucking awesome whenever like somebody's literally trying to make you mad. And it's not even from some like egoic kind of way where, you're just like repressing it and pretending like it doesn't make you mad. Like, genuinely, you do not get upset. Like, the triggers don't exist anymore once you understand how to access your soul power. Once you understand how to live a life that is led by your soul, everything improves because you've already won the game. The second that you know how to do that and you stop living by the survival mode from the past, you stop living from the stories from the past, you stop living from those external things and you start living from here, there's nothing more fulfilling on the planet. There just isn't. I've searched far and wide and I've studied highly, highly successful people. And I can tell you, there's nothing better. There's nothing more important. There's no more important work than what we're going to do together on this podcast and in my communities. And I know that's a bold statement, but I can tell you of 20 years of not only observing and studying this work, but then 38 years of living it and being on every side of the spectrum, there's no more important work than we're going to do together. So this is worth your time. This is worth your energy. This is worth you showing up for. And it's not just listening. I don't want you to just to listen, have something going on in the background. Like, take the work and apply it. See where the stories that I share, see where the things that I teach are relevant to you, and use them, apply them, because knowledge is not power. You can have a lot of knowledge. And see, this is where I was for many, many years. I had a lot of knowledge, but I wasn't actually applying all of those things. And so applied knowledge is what creates power, not knowledge itself. Okay? Because you can know something without being that thing. We're in the information age. You can literally look up how to become a millionaire, how to build $1 million business. And just because you have the strategy, just because you know, quote unquote, how to do it, does that mean that you are now a $1 million business owner? No, because you didn't become it yet. Or maybe you did, depending on who you are. So this is the whole idea, is how are you seeing yourself in my stories, in my teachings? How can you start to take the things that you're learning here, that we're talking about, these things, and contemplate them, and then really start to create change in your physical life? Because when you can do that, that's when everything begins to shift. But don't let this just be another podcast where you just kind of have it on in the background. Really take it and apply it. And I mean, of course you can do that because your unconscious mind is listening, even if you're not paying conscious attention. But I really feel like if you want your unconscious mind to be picking up on all these things, you're going to have to listen like over and over and over and over and over again, which is okay too. I do that with most of my mentors. I never listen to one thing just once. Again, I'm going back to Dr. Joe Dispenza's work over and over and over and over again, because every single time I go back and listen to something, I have a different frame of mind or a different reference point where I can understand it a little differently. And so I'm grasping different pieces of it, or there's light bulbs going off in my brain. I'm making new neuro connections. These things are starting to make sense in my mind and in my body, and then I can show up in those ways. So that is my ask for you as we move forward on this journey together. And, it would really help me. I think one of the things that I struggled in the past doing is asking you to share this podcast. And I realized as I was listening to Mel Robbins' podcast, I think it's the #1 podcast in the world right now. That is like something she does so many times in the episodes. And I think that before I was like, I don't want to ask people to do that because, I'm just trying to make sure you enjoy our time together. But no, this is really important work. I just truly believe that there's no more important work on the planet. So if you think of someone that needs to hear something that we've talked about in these episodes, please share it with them. Share it with them. Share it with one person that is ready for that next level in her life, that wants to live a life powered by her soul, that has done the mindset work, that has read the books, that's done the manifestation practices, but she still feels stuck. There's a level and a piece that's missing. And that's what we're going to dive into, and that's what we're going to talk about, and that's that's really what the work is. So all of that to say, where have I been over the last 7 months? So my last episode was kind of wild. It preludes to what has occurred, or what was occurring at the end of last year. And I think primarily when you're faced with a potentially life-altering circumstance that's outside of your control, it really does make you reevaluate everything. And that's what happened to me last year. So in August, and again, I recorded an episode on this too. I can't remember the name of that one, but we can find it for my next level retreat. I had a profound spiritual experience at that event. And I believe that was a completion. Oops, see, that's my reminder for my yoga class. Let's get back to what we were saying. So this event was really a completion cycle for the spiritual awakening that I believe happened in 2020 for me. That's kind of where I woke up and started questioning my own reality, questioning my thoughts, questioning my beliefs, questioning my religious programming, questioning everything. Like, I remember taking a walk with my sister and saying, I truly believe that every single thing that I've been told was a lie. Like, it was such a disorienting process for me. And so I really feel like that whole kind of unraveling, dismantling, deconstruction of the avatar Rebekah, the version of me that I became to survive in this world, started unraveling in 2020. And I believe that it finished, like the completion of the new self, if you will, happened in August of 2025. So it took me 4.5 years, call it 4 years maybe, for that full integration to occur. And so in August, when that all occurred, I really believe that, in a nutshell, I'll share that what I believe happened is my soul finally felt safe enough to inhabit my body fully. And it's what I've come to realize is called a divine union, where again, your body and your soul kind of merge. And I lived so much of my childhood and my life dissociated from my body. Like, my soul was like, I feel like in times like hovering over my body because of the dysregulation, the abuse, the trauma, it's like not a safe place for this high vibrational entity to live in such a low vibrational, contracted, constricted body and being. Like, there was a lot of conflict between my body and my soul for many years because I'm like, it's not safe here. Like, legitimately not safe. Look at this world. Look at these people that I'm surrounded by. Look at my life. Like, it's not safe to live here. And I think that there's something to that with like even vulnerability. You know how so many people are like afraid to open up. It's like, why are we so afraid to open up? Why are we so afraid to be vulnerable? Why are we so afraid to like bare our soul and then be rejected? And I think there's something to this where like opening up, being vulnerable, being who you really are, being fully self-expressed, it's such a fearful thing in this environment and in this society that we live in. And so that's why I believe that I was more guarded and more kind of sheltering before. And so in August, when I had this divine union experience, I felt like this massive energetic shift within my physical form. And I immediately, my soul was like, it's time to go inward again. And like the things that I wanted to do before, I could no longer do. The people that I was friends with and talking to all the time, I felt zero desire to respond back to anyone. My family, I wanted nothing to do with anybody that triggered me or brought me into any kind of lower vibe state, because I felt like what had happened was so new and fresh and so fragile at the time that like, it's almost like there was a seed that was planted. Think about a seed. You wouldn't just keep, like growing, or I'm sorry, like digging up that seed or putting so much water on that seed. Like, you kind of have to be really careful in the very beginning with a seed that it doesn't, die, that you have to kind of really be careful with that. Even a baby, like the first trimester is the most, susceptible to miscarriage, because that seed, that initiation, that there's a gestational period to where we got to get that thing stable so that it has enough roots and legs to grow. And I really feel like that's what I experienced. And so I was like kind of immediately drawn into this inward void period of time where like everything, I literally like, do you ever hear the Whole30 diet? When I was like obsessed with my food and like with my body and food, I went on this Whole30 diet. And the premise is that you take almost everything out of your diet except for like, it's almost like paleo, but you just take everything out that has any kind of processed anything, any sugars, anything artificial, anything. Like, you live on a very strict diet, and then for 30 days. And then you start to reintroduce like one thing at a time and see how your body reacts to it. And the idea behind it is, let's see what's throwing our system. Let's get our system into balance. And then let's slowly start to introduce things back in that will determine and tell you if that thing is throwing you out of balance or not. And so that way you can avoid that food because your body is literally telling you this is not healthy for you. This is not good. Your body doesn't work well with it. There's no coherence with that food. So I feel like that's exactly what I went through with people and things and the podcast and social media and everything. I feel like I had to strip it all away and just go inward, let my soul take root, let my body, that mind, body, soul connection that I created, like really just solidify before I felt safe enough opening up and being vulnerable to other people. So that time came, of course, but it took a little while. It was months, and it was actually really hard because I struggled to have the hard conversations then as well. I felt like I was more in my avoidant tendencies of like, I would get text messages and then I just would have no desire. And it wasn't about the other person at all. I just felt like it was going to take so much energy to even just respond to a text message. Have you ever been there? It's like, I can't even describe the level of like dread that I would feel when people would text me because I knew I had no energy for that. And I liken it again to that first trimester when you're going through a spiritual experience. And I know if you're here, you've gone through this before. You understand what I'm talking about to some degree. There is a level of up leveling. There's a level of I need to figure out what's right for me. And I know that what I'm doing right now isn't working, but I don't know what's not working and what is. So I just got to take all this shit out of my reality and then introduce it back slowly and figure out what can come with me. Because the level of peace and the level of sovereignty and the level of love and joy that my soul allows me to experience and is expressed through me on a daily basis is worth losing pretty much any relationship in my life. And I know that sounds pretty fucking harsh, but I mean that. Now, the people who love me and who really do want to be here are not going to make me choose. And so that's why I can say that. But anybody that would make me choose, anybody that's going to say, well, I know that you want to live in peace and you want to live in love and you want to live by your soul, but I'm going to keep being this kind of person in your presence. Well, then you're saying that you don't love me enough to honor my boundaries and honor what it is that I require from an energetic standpoint. And so that's fine if we don't need to hang out anymore, like no big deal. And I was okay with losing absolutely every relationship in my life. That was really where I was at from that period of time, from August into about, early November. And then I shared a little bit more about my daughter's ER experience, but in the last episode, so you can go and listen to that whole thing if you'd like. But I was faced with an experience where my daughter had a horrible health scare and it was not resolved right away. It was something we were going to have to wait for, 3 to 6 months to get answers on. And it was one of the most excruciating experiences of my life because I have always felt a lot of shame around becoming a mom and just poor decisions that I made early on in being a mother. I carried a lot of shame with me through the years. And I used to tell myself, because I believed that I was going to be punished for a lot of the things that I did from this religious rhetoric that I had been taught when I was a child. And so I always had this overarching feeling of you weren't a good mom in the beginning. You made a lot of really poor choices. And so God's going to punish you. And there was this unconscious fear that was so irrational that God was going to take my child away. And so like something bad was going to happen to her. She was going to die. She was going to get taken from me. Like this has lived in my body for fucking 19 years. Okay. That whole story lived in my body so true. Like it felt so fucking true that whenever this whole thing occurred, that part of me was like, see, this is what you've been waiting on this whole time. God's going to take her. And that's your punishment for who you used to be. And that was obviously something I had to work with and unwind. And that was really, really difficult, but that lived in me. And so when this whole thing was occurring with her, that story was just like repeating. And I had to get myself, I remember, I'm in the hospital with my daughter overnight as they're running all these tests to determine if she's okay. And they I'm like sleeping in this, chair with her. I'm scared to fucking death. Sleeping is, I'm using that term loosely. I didn't get any sleep, but I'm in this chair next to her. And in my mind, like for, 12 hours straight, 16 hours straight, whatever it is that we were in the hospital that day, I'm just seeing this all like rerunning in my mind of like losing my child. But then there was this greater part of me that was living by my soul that was like in this level of peace. So it was kind of these two parts of me that I really had to integrate and work with. But the part was loud that thought I was going to lose her. But I was staying calm the whole time. And I try to be just really strong for her and be this like, I'm going to keep a positive mindset towards this. I'm really big on teaching her about manifestation and understanding how your thoughts create your reality. So I made a decision that when I rushed her to the ER the night before, that I was not going to accept any reality except for the highest timeline and the highest good for all of this. I knew I wasn't going to lose her, but this part of me, the egoic part, was like really freaking out. So I visualized everything working out. I visualized us getting there and being seen and nobody in the waiting room. I visualized it all, I visualized us being released. I visualized her healing completely. Like I visualized all of it, and it all came true. By the way, we walked into the hospital. She was seen within 2 minutes because she was struggling to breathe. And I started freaking out. 2 minutes, they had her under care. The hospital was incredible. They took such good care of her. I mean, and then she's made a literal, like miraculous recovery, could have absolutely lost her life over what happened. So I remember this story was just on repeat and like I was just sick. My nervous system was just like on alert, high alert the whole time. And we end up getting home. She just wants to go about her life, because she's 19. I mean, I don't think at that age you fully can process the severity of things or the finality of like these kinds of things happening. And she hasn't really lost, thank God, anyone that she's been super close to in her life, like as far as passing away. And realistically, neither have I. We've lost a lot of grandparents. But so I don't think that you can really grasp what that is until you actually experience it. So she was just kind of like going about her life. She wanted to go to a concert that weekend. She was like, I'm okay. Like they've got me handled, like whatever. We're on treatment for the next 3 to 6 months. And then here I am, like, this is all just like, it's just built up in my system. And I am just all of this 19 years of me telling myself this horrible story, and the fear that I felt, like that was it. Like the fear that I felt was so real. And I remember like she went to this concert with her friends and she left for the night after we had been discharged, and she's home and being like monitored. And I remember like absolutely just losing it to the point where I could not breathe. I could not breathe because I was crying so hard. And I was just like, I'm going to lose her. I'm going to lose her. Like she's, and Eric just so lovingly, he's like, put your arms up. He's just such a great person. Put your arms up and breathe. You're not getting enough oxygen. Breathe, babe, breathe. Take a big belly breath. She's not going anywhere. And he just like, I remember in that moment, like knowing 100% that all that fear and all that pain and all of that was all leaving my body. But that was like a couple days after she had been discharged, and I'm just expelling like all of this energy, and I'm just crying hysterically. And I remember starting off like, I'm going to lose her. She's going to die. I'm going to lose her. Like I was right the whole time. And like, this is what I get. And like, I just was like, this isn't even me anymore speaking. This is like this part of me that's just like letting it all go. And then by the end of it, because he was so lovingly supportive, and also I know how to bring myself out of these scenarios, I just allowed this whole process to occur, and I'm just crying and just crying and just crying. And by the end of it, I'm like, okay, like that whole story had changed to like, you're right. She's going to be okay. She's going to be okay. She doesn't need to die. Like, this is okay. Like, we can start to manifest something new. Like, she's going to be fine. And so it was like this beautiful energetic release, because the truth is that emotions are just energy in motion. And what a lot of people don't understand is that when you have an emotion that's trying to come up and be processed, see how I was getting teary-eyed right there. And I started, to tear up a bit. If you just let yourself experience it, you don't try to repress it, usually an emotional experience only lasts about 30 to 90 seconds. So like just let yourself process it. But those deeper things that we've been holding on to for a long time, sometimes we need that, that extra level of release. So that helped tremendously, that moment with Eric, which was so healing in and of itself. And then I had been invited to go to the Human Design Hotel as a VIP guest. One of my friends opened the world's first human design hotel, and it was such a cool experience. But we also did this beautiful breathwork session there where I feel like I released even more. And this was like a week after my daughter gets released from the hospital. And I'm freaking the fuck out. I'm like, I have to cancel. I can't go to this event because it's in Montreal. It's in Canada. And I like just knew intuitively that everything was going to be okay. And so I'm making these decisions, like letting my daughter go to this concert, going to Montreal a week, 10 days later, which was really difficult to do, but it was a life-changing experience. And then I got to see that like, it's okay, right? Like it's okay to have all of these different unknowns and still follow your soul's path. So that was a life-changing experience. And then like every moment that I made decisions based on what my soul was asking me to do, it was all working out. And so then I reached out to my holistic health, I call her like my witch doctor. She's definitely one of those people who would have been burned at the stake years ago because she's a intuitive channel of medicine. It's really hard to explain, but she has helped me to heal from so many different things, and she's stepped in and was supporting my daughter in tandem with the hospital. I feel like if I had to rely solely on the medical system, I don't know what would have happened. But working in tandem with this holistic practitioner, my daughter has made a complete healing, an absolute 180. And it doesn't logically make any sense that she was able to do that. So we know that this was the power of, of healing, of energy. So with all of that, every time that I have been making these decisions from my highest self, even in the face of a tremendous amount of fear, things are working out. So I'm starting to get this understanding that my soul walking this earth and making decisions on my behalf is working. And not only is it working, the things that are coming here to like try to bring me back down, when I still show up in the face of fear, I feel the fear and I do the thing anyway, it's working. And not only is it working, I'm thriving and she's healing and things are getting better. And like, so I'm starting, my body at this period of time at the end of last year is really starting to get on board with like, you can trust that higher vision. You can trust that higher mind. And I think for a long time before, and you may resonate with this, like I would have this, you can trust, but are you sure? You can trust me, but I don't know. Look at all this data that says you can't. So there was a lot of that kind of back and forth, that internal conflict that I experienced for many years after I started this personal growth journey. So it wasn't really until the end of last year that it was like, okay, my soul not only gets to sit in the driver's seat, but she gets to drive all the time. Fear can exist. Fear can sit in the passenger seat or even in the back seat, right? I'll be here. I'm along for the ride. I'm going to start to surrender. And so that's what I did. And part of that, again, was like not continuing on certain relationships, taking a pause on the podcast so that I could go inward and I could heal and I could release all of these things, not rejoining in my mastermind because I knew that I needed to listen to this voice above and beyond all else. And that I had been outsourcing my power. I had been outsourcing my decisions to my coaches. I had been outsourcing a lot of my sovereignty to external things. And I knew that it was time for me to stop that cycle and to come back home to me. And so what that has birthed into reality is the incredible new community that I am creating. And well, it's already created. So there's wonderful humans that are living inside of that community right now. And I want to share a little bit about it because the way that this was birthed was years ago. I had this idea for a community, and Eric and I were having a conversation about what we should name the podcast. Because it used to be like something different. It was like Elevate You or something. And he helped me come up with the name Soul Powered. So I had this idea years ago about creating this community of people who want to live life differently, that want to live a life that's guided by their soul. And so when I had this whole experience at the end of last year and I really started allowing my soul to guide the way, that idea came back. And I realized that especially now, what I've created is so much more needed than it's ever been before, because people are tired of the way that society is. Like, we're tired of the grinding, the hustling, the fucking working yourself to death, working for other people. We're tired of working for the man. We're tired of making other people rich while we literally have to work 2 and 3 fucking jobs sometimes to make ends meet. I mean, it's absolutely fucking believable what is happening in society right now. And most people are just going to social media and complaining about it. I mean, let's be honest, or talking about, the fucking politics at dinner like it's going to change anything. I know there's a lot of people out here who are creating real change. And so I want to recognize that as well. But I had this idea of like, okay, so if that's society's plan for us, they clearly haven't taught us another way. There is no other way. So let's make one. Let's create a new way. If we don't like the current societal structure, then we need to create a new societal structure. And my way of contributing to this new earth is to create a soul-powered society, a society of humans, a society of people who are living a life that's guided by their soul, who are making decisions based on integrity, in love. They're making decisions based on vibration and frequency, and they understand the contributions that they're making for generations to come with the decisions that they're making today. And so I created it. I was like, this is what we're doing. We're creating the soul-powered society. And my vision for this is really to be the bridge between the current 3D, very dense, heavy societal way of doing things now to the 5D, which is the new earth, which is the new paradigm, the new way of doing things, where we are leading from love, where we're putting each other ahead of, the collective ahead of ourselves. We need to put ourselves first as well and have boundaries and all of those things. But we're thinking about the collective. We're thinking about how to make an impact for the future. We're not just so heavily focused on, money at all costs, right? Or like just grinding and hustling and slaving away and, soul sacrificing for money. Like the current structures, they're outdated. They're based on an old patriarchal system that I don't have to explain any of this to you because you understand this. Like everybody understands this. Everybody gets that what we have right now is not working. And so the question then becomes, what do we do instead? And so the idea behind this community that I've created is this is what we do instead. And so we're starting with the area of money because that's my background. And so what I'm helping people learn is how to create soul-powered wealth, how to heal your relationship with money so that you can make it with more ease than ever before, so that you can live a life that's guided by your soul. Because in order for you to do that, you need time. A lot of people think they want financial freedom, but really when you boil it down and you ask, well, why do you want financial freedom? Because it's going to give me more travel or more money or more this. Okay, why do you want that? Because I want to spend more time with my family. I want more time to do the things that I love. I want more time. So there's this weird situation that has been occurred where I think that we've genuinely been taught that money is the thing that's scarce, whenever money's like one of the most common things that exists on the planet. There's money everywhere. That's one thing I learned in working with people's money for so long, is like there's a lot of money right around you right now. If you have a bank within a few miles of your home, there's money. There's money everywhere. What there isn't and what we can't create more of is time. So really, a life that is guided by your soul, it's going to require you to have time to sit with yourself, to release these energetic things. Like you can't walk through life on autopilot, doing the things that you're doing right now, living in survival mode, which the majority of people are living in survival mode, and then think that you're going to be able to create a new reality from that, because you don't have the level of energy that is required to create what it is that you want, because all of that energy is being used to keep you in survival. Because what happens when your brain is activated, when you're in a fight or flight state, which most people live in that state chronically, all of the energy that should be used to rest, to digest, to heal is all going to your extremities so that you can fight off a threat or run away from it. So all of that energy that you want to be able to use to create a new reality, it doesn't exist. Especially then put on top of that, these emotions that you've experienced, these things that have happened to you in the past that are still blocking you. And the way that the vision came to me is that we have this field around us. We have this auric field around us, which is an electromagnetic field. It's a bioelectric field around us. They can measure it. It's literally proven to exist. And the way that I see it, there's blocks in this field. There's places in this field that you have experienced maybe a traumatic experience, or you've made a really poor financial decision. And so you have this energy tied up in that one experience in your life. And that energy is not then available to create something new, because to create something new, to create a new reality, it takes energy. And so when you release these things, when you become aware, which by the way, if you know anything about my work and the Align method that I teach, it starts with, if you want to change your life, that's the only word you need to remember is align. Because if you know that method, if you can cultivate awareness, which is step number 1, to these blocks, to these ways of being, which by the way, I teach. And if you want to learn how, go into the show notes. I have a new training that's coming out. It's called the Rise to Riches Workshop. And it's going to teach you this 5-step method. If you can cultivate awareness to the blocks that are going on and release them, which the next step is to let go. Awareness, L, let go. Once you let go of these blocks, what then happens is you free up more energy that you can then use to create the reality that you desire. I'm not going to go into all the pillars, but check out the workshop if you want to learn more. It's free. So I want to have a way for people to learn this information for free. And obviously, if you want to work with me, like join us in the Soul Powered Society. I have different tiers in there depending on where you're at. So just so you know, there are different stages of women that I work with. And I work primarily with women. I do have men inquire quite a bit about coming into my world and in my work, but there's something really powerful. And there's just, I don't know, there's this like intuitive knowing that I have that I am meant to lead powerful women. Powerful women are attracted to powerful women. And also women are very cyclical in nature. And so I am a woman, so I can resonate a lot more with women than I would be able to with men, if that makes sense. So I do have men who come in quite a bit and want to work with me, but there's always just this kind of, I don't know, this resistance to it. And maybe I will someday, but right now I'm working with women primarily. And the different levels that I'm working with women at are Awaken. The Awaken level is tier 1 in the Soul Powered Society. This is for someone who's like, I have learned that I can create my own reality, but I don't know what that looks like. I've heard people talking about it, but I don't know how to do it. And I'm still running on autopilot the majority of my life. I still live in a lot of fear, a lot of scarcity, and I'm ready to understand what I need to do to escape this matrix, essentially, that I'm living in. So that's the Awaken tier. Then we have the Ascend tier, which is for a woman who really is like, okay, I started to create some traction in my life because I've been doing the mindset work. I've been doing the affirmations. I've been diving into manifestation. I've been learning about how to create my own reality, but I'm still coming up against these blocks. So like, you might have roller coaster income months if you're the Ascend woman, where it's like you know how to manifest, but then the next month, you know, for some reason you're just collapsing. And it's like, I can make $10,000 in one month, but then $0 the next. And so it's this roller coaster kind of back and forth energy. And with that woman, she's ready to ascend because she's already awake to the fact that she's consciously creating her own reality, but still feeling stagnant, still feeling stuck. It also might look like a plateau type of income where you've reached $10,000 a month, but like you go within $1,000 of that each month. So you're $9,000 this month, $11,000 the next, but you can't break free from that plateau. So that's the Ascend woman, or I'm sorry, that's the Amplify woman. Did I say? Okay. So there's Awaken, There's Amplify. That's number 2. And then there's Ascend. So who I just described was the Amplify woman. Who I'm getting ready to describe is the Ascend woman. So we're still getting used to articulating this and speaking it out loud. But it's been coming through for like years. This is literally something that was birthed like 4 years ago. And I've just become the type of person who can now lead the movement in the community. So the Ascend woman is the woman that was like me years ago, where you're making the money, you've done the things, you've done everything, you've checked all the boxes that society has told you that you need to check, and you still feel empty inside. You've done all the fucking work. You've done all of the things, and you still feel burned out. You still feel exhausted. You still feel like you're in a prison, and you want to break free from that. So that's the Ascend woman. So we have the 3 tiers of women inside of this community, and I'm getting ready. So we have the Awaken level right now, getting ready to launch the Amplify level. And that's more of an intimate kind of group coaching space where we're working more closely together. You have my eyeballs on your stuff. The Awaken level is incredible as well, where we have question and answer every single month, so you can dive in and get your most, pertinent questions that you have around living a soul-powered life, around awakening to what's available for you, around anything, all the things that I know, which I also teach inside of there. So every month there's a teaching and a transmission where I share with you what it is that I believe the collective needs to know right now as it relates to awakening to your power. Whether that is, sometimes we do mindset work. Mindset work is still important, but the missing link for most manifestation conversations is most people do not understand the connection between the mind and the body, the nervous system. So when we have those kind of roller coaster income months, that's usually happening because you've got your mind on board with what's possible, but your nervous system is still tied to the past. It's still tied to the familiar baseline. And so we talk a lot about that also inside of Awaken. But my point with sharing all of this is that if you fit in one of those categories, this podcast is for you. So I'm going to share with you the things that are going to support you in getting to the next level. The Awaken woman, her goal is going to be to get to Amplify. The Amplify woman, her goal is going to be to get to Ascend. And the ultimate goal of all of this is to learn how to make sovereign money, to make money on command, to make it passively or semi-passively, where you're not trading more time for money. You're not grinding, you're not hustling, you're not chasing anymore. You're relaxed, you're attracting, you're aligned, you're making money by just existing. That's a mind fuck for somebody who's been working to prove their worth for their whole life. I can tell you from firsthand experience, having more than 6 figures in passive income or semi-passive income, it feels like a mind fuck sometimes, where I'm like, okay, like I get paid to do nothing. If I do nothing for this whole week, I still get the same amount. And that's pretty difficult to unwind from for someone who, which is crazy. It doesn't seem like it would be difficult to experience, but once you're there, you'll know what I mean. Like you feel like you should be doing something for this. I need to be working harder. I need to be doing more. I can't just sit here and rest. So yeah, the mind fucks are real as it relates to the programming that we've had. But my point in all of this is I'm super excited to be back. And if you fit into one of those categories, then this podcast is for you. And I can't wait to dive more. Like I can't wait to dive into these shorter episodes too, because this is going to be a little bit of an experiment for me. I've never really done 8 to 10 minutes because I love to chat, as you can see, but my legs are getting restless and I think that I am ready to go eat lunch. So we're going to do that. But with all of that being said, I'm so happy to be back. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to share this with you. I can't wait to continue on this journey together. If you are ready and you're someone who's like, I'm ready to take ownership of my life. I'm ready to learn how to create from the quantum. I'm ready to learn how to release the chains of the past and step into this new future. Then check out the Rise to Riches workshop. That's a free place that you can go deeper than we're going to be able to go here. And you're going to learn about the missing piece of the nervous system. You're going to learn about all of that because I'm diving way deeper into that inside of that training. And I'll go into the 5 pillars of the Align method. And then I'll talk about the Awaken and the Amplify tiers of the Soul Powered Society. So you can learn all of that inside of that training. But let me check my notes. I know there's possibly one other thing that I wanted to share. Okay. No, I think that's everything. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. It has been such a pleasure just coming back and reconnecting with you. And thank you for allowing me just to be me. And I'm so excited for what's to come. And I cannot wait to see you in the next episode. Bye, my love. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today on this episode of the Soul Power Channel. I trust that you got what you came here for. And truly, if this episode resonates with you, would you do me a favor and send this to someone else that you know it would resonate with as well? That really increases the probability that we're going to be able to collapse time and move into the soul-powered society even faster. We're headed to the new earth. It's inevitable. It's happening. But the more of us that can access our soul power, walk in that soul-powered truth, and create this together to be that beautiful bridge from the 3D where we're living now to the 5D new earth, the better. So share this with someone. Come back anytime you need inspiration. I'm so happy to have you here. I love you so much. And I'm so grateful for every single moment that you decide to tune in. And I can't wait to see what transforms in your life as a result of this work. We'll see you next time.